Hello, everyone. I'm Shara.
And this is Jake from Lugano this time.
Yeah, this is Live Your Love. Today we have Stephan Müller. Stephan is a professional voice actor and sound designer, and he loves to delve deeply into all kinds of topics. And by deeply, he means really deeply. What he thought he knew has been torn down and rebuilt from scratch several times over the past few years. And that is certainly not easy, he says, but he loves gaining new insights and through them creating more clarity in his life. Some friends have often called him the voice of reason, and even though there aren't many things he can really identify with, the voice of reason suits him well. Welcome, Stephan.
Hello, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. We're glad you're here and so honored. Jake has had nothing but wonderful things to say about
Oh,
you,
that's
and
nice. Thank you.
looking through your website a little bit, I see, most people will recognize the universal names, companies that you've worked for,
Yeah,
Amazon, Ford, McDonald's, just to name a few. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your work and how it lights you up?
yeah, sure. I mean, those brand names are uh, international companies, so maybe they are common even if with the English speaking audience. But of course, those have been like commercials in Germany for radio stations, TV commercials, and everything like that. But yeah, quite a few nice jobs I got in the past, and always wanted to work with my voice since I discovered I have this voice, which wasn't always clear and was more or less a coincidence that I even came to working with my voice. But took me, looking back, took me way too long to realize that I'm capable of living a very uh, free life and having the monetary resources to afford that life as well at the same time. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes a difference, doesn't it? I have to stay creative or otherwise I'll
yeah,
just
sure,
melt.
sure,
So I
sure, sure,
get that. Yeah.
sure.
So that's wonderful.
There's a couple
Um,
things I'm thinking of.
yeah.
I briefly remember because we have met in Glastonbury, and I have been in his sound studio. It brings so many good memories, and I can really resonate with how he spoke of that he loves to work with his voice. And I did have the luxury to hang out with him. And Stefan, if you would like, I think it would be really cool if you're up for it to kind of share how you came across your voice.
Yeah, sure, sure. That was quite something.
It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, I was after school I was working in started working in a radio station in Munich, Germany, local radio station. First as an intern, and then they have kind of an internal education program where you can learn to be like work in the editorial apartment, let's call it that. And I had that, but with specification on sound production, audio production. And back then, there was like two guys working in there, me, myself, and the other colleague, also named Stefan. And sometimes when we had to record something, produce something, and we had no professional voice there, we just like made a joke. Hey, come on, I can do it real quick. And my colleague was from the northern part of Germany, so he had Bavaria, so he had a very strong accent. So he knew he wouldn't be able to record like a professional voice recording, and I had never done that. So it was more or less just a joke. And then one day he just said, "Yeah, just try it." And I just said, "What? Why? I how?" And then I did it. I think it was a radio commercial, radio trailer for a concert presentation we had in Munich. And it was the first time I recorded my voice or listened to my voice when it was recorded. And for me, it sounded awful. was just like the most awful thing I've ever heard. But my colleague was really pleased and amazed and said, "Hey, that sounds great. I didn't know you can do that." And I was just looking at him and said,
Yeah,
are you
right.
kidding me?
I think a lot of people have that when they hear themselves.
So I said, "Hey, come, do whatever you want. I will have a coffee." So he produced the whole thing with music and everything. And then he had me listen to it again and said, "Yeah, now it sounds still awful, but with music, so I still don't like it." And he said, "No, that sounds great. We can really use that." He will now get the program director and she will have a listen to that. And I remember I was sitting in the back of the studio. They both have been sitting in front of me, and he pressed play. The whole trailer was playing and then was over.
Yeah, how long was that about?
30 seconds something.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was over, and then she said, "Oh, that sounds amazing. Who is this voiceover?" And he said, "Yeah, that's Stephan in the back." "Oh, that's not possible. Let me listen to it again." And then they listened to it for a second time. And I was just sitting there. I couldn't understand what's happening right now because I was thinking it was just like sounding something very, very weird. And they both liked it. And then when the second time was done, she stood up, opened the door to the editorial room, and said, "Hey, come on in. You have to listen to that. We have a voiceover star here in our team, which we didn't even know of." And I was working there for like 2 years or something already. And that's how I came to working with my voice. So
that is a great story.
yeah,
I love that because some people love to hear their voice,
yeah,
like I had an aunt who would record herself
yeah.
and then play it back and listen to it. And yeah, and then you not seeing that and you do have an amazing voice. So it's like other people can see something in us when we don't.
Yeah, but I think it's like Jake just mentioned that a lot of people don't like their voice. I mean, it's more or less very, very, very common because people are not used to listen to their own voice without this inner resonance you have when you speak.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but the reality is like all of the people on this planet hear you the way it is recorded, and oneself is the only one who doesn't hear the voice like all the others do. And it took me quite a while to get used to it. I think it was like almost a year, I would say, till I was confident enough to really can tell if the voice recording I just did is good in a professional way without being attached to it, Like
Right.
it took me a year to have like two positions, like the one who does the recording with the voice, and then the producer who edits the voice, but without any connection to the one who's just recorded it, which are both me. So yeah.
More of the material. If you'd like to expand a little bit just on sound production, sound waves, the little bit you helped me make my audio book, and I was just amazed. I would just watch and see your hands, second nature. I mean, you've been doing this many years now, like 20 years. That was your job initially until you started using your voice. So you have such an experience with not only editing and producing, but also using your voice. And as you mentioned, how we interpret what we're hearing through our ears from our mouth, and all of those little things that are going on that is different, that when you have a professional recorded voice and you have all those awesome little words like plosives and things like that, that if you want to talk a little bit about that and how you've become such a master, because when you were helping me, I just was amazed at how fast you did everything. And there were times we had to make a repair on a word, and you would steal a little sound of an S from somewhere else and just sneak it in there. It was like magic when I got to see it from that perspective. And I think listeners don't probably appreciate or understand how fun it can become to work with the sound waves.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main reason for everything I'm capable of doing right now is having worked for radio stations for a very long period of my life. Because you have like, either you have an audio engineer who can like handle the plugins and the effects, and you can do the EQing and the mixing console and everything, and has a great hearing, but most of the time the creative part is missing there. And as a producer on a radio station, you have to do both. You have to be like very good at mixing, like the just audio technical stuff. But then there's also the creative stuff, and you're both responsible for both of that. Let's say like there's another department besides from the production department at a radio station. Those are the guys who think about the promotions, the campaigns and everything. Like, let's say, when you listen to radio stations, you know what they do. Like they do concert presentations, they have like, you can win something, like the typical stuff. Me as a producer, I just get like a white piece of paper with the text on it. There's not mentioned which music I should pick, which sound effect it should be, which tone of voice should be. So that's all part of
That's all the creative side then,
yes,
correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then well, I think what made it really special was like in a radio station, at least the one I worked for last, you have also like you are the show producer for the show which is currently on air. So let's say I'm the producer for the afternoon show, and you don't have a lot of time. So you meet before noon, let's say, and then you have like 2-3 hours to prepare the show. If, let's say, comedy bits are necessary or whatever. And then you also have to do the same things when the show is running. Because sometimes the host has an interview during the show, which is not live. Let's say it's live on tape. So the host gets in the studio, starts the show, let's say at 3 o'clock. And then the interview is at 4 o'clock. And then he can do that off the air. And then he can transfer it to my studio, and I'm the one who's editing it. Okay, the interview is then aired at 4:30, just as an example. So I have like half an hour
Yeah,
of
30
cutting
minutes
the whole.
then.
Yeah, there have been times when I literally was. It was like, I think it was like a movie trailer presentation. Like it was a week where like 3 new movies started, and the host had like a top 3. Of the movies which started, and then it was my job to take her recording, pick the bits from the movie, the music and everything, and produce it so there's like a whole clip or a whole bit for the show. And I remember there was an intercom in the radio station, so you could just press a button and could talk to me in the studio, and she said, yeah, how long will it take till you're ready? And I was playing the sound, I was ready with the production, but I had to transfer it in real time to the system, which then the audio file can go on air. And I was just, looking at the clock, 1.5 minutes something. Okay, that's perfect. Then I will just start reading the, there was a bit like, what was it called in English? So the bit I was producing was fully produced, but the host had to say something live before she just pressed the button, and the piece I produced just went on air.
Yeah.
And she started doing her live take while I was still
Still working on it.
transferring it to the radio system. And she was finished, and I was done with saving the file and putting it into the studio. So there is no time. So you have to be creative. You have to be like professional. You have to know which button to press to achieve the outcome you want, and then you have to be very efficient with what you do. And I think that's just like working for that radio station so long was highly beneficial in being very efficient, quick, and as you mentioned, having this muscle memory. I don't even have to look on the keyboard when I want to zoom out, zoom in, want to cut. That's just That's just in my DNA, you know.
Yeah, second nature.
Yeah.
That creative flow to just keep things going, I find it fascinating because I've never worked in a radio station or anything like that. And to think, you're driving down the street or sitting wherever listening to the radio and an ad comes on and then in between the songs. And I think it's fascinating that behind the scenes, there's people like you sometimes scrambling in the very live second, but you would never know that when you're out in the world just listening to it.
No. And also, like, I mean, somehow it has to be done, you know. I remember I did one commercial that was in the first radio station I was working for back then, way back then. And there was like an adventure pool area place with water slides and all those kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Water park. I think water park is the word. Or something.
Yeah, water
Yes.
park. And just a note for listeners, Stefan's mother tongue is German. So
Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
might have noticed that I'm not
Yeah.
a native speaker. Yeah, and then there was like the script came from the client, and there was like a sound effect water slide written in the script. So how do you do water slide? That doesn't exist. You cannot go just on a database and type in water slide and then you have it.
Right.
So it was my job to make the water slide audible. So I remember I had like a mouse pad, 2 microphones, and I was like pushing the mouse pad from left to right, recorded that sound to have like something, you know. And then I took a waterfall, a small waterfall, and like a woman screaming in joy, and then mixed it all together. So we had like the impression of like a woman is just sliding along the water slide, like, wow, and the water is just running along. So yeah.
it makes
That's
me think
amazing.
of sorry if I keep jumping in everything, Shara, here, but it reminds
Fine.
me when I first saw some of the behind the scenes when they made Star Wars and they showed for the sound of the lasers, the guy would take a hammer and they were hitting a metal fence out in some field.
Yeah.
And it is nowhere near relatable that you would think that sound in your imagination would sound like a laser beam. But once you hear it, you go, oh my God, look at that. That is what that sounds like. And that's what it reminds me of when you're describing, all right, we're just going to move a mouse across a pad. But the sound waves of that, when you're just listening, if you have no point of reference, can sound like things. It's amazing. The sound,
Yeah.
sound.
That kind of reminds me of the days when I was in theater class and we were putting on plays and the guys backstage making those off-stage sound effects,
yeah.
you know. Yeah.
I think Foley artist is the word for that profession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got all that experience, and then you start using your voice. I always loved that story. I'm glad that you shared that because you're kind of you were doing production at the time, and who am I? And next thing you know, now when you get all the way up to where you're at now, if you feel like talking about your YouTube channel, I've listened to some of your meditations, and because I have been able to spend time with you, all of the abilities, that creative side of things to take something that might have been a corporate structure at some point, but now you're putting this into another whole new space, and you've advanced to a point where you're using your voice as melody and as rhythm, and then adding in that creative element with meditation sounds and things like that. Oh, it's such a great exploration here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was like also, I mean, that was always the dream to do that, but I never dared to take that step to, let's say, quit the job at the radio station, which I was very sick of for way too long, going there and doing more or less useless, meaningless stuff there. I mean, no one cares if there is a new whatever commercial thing you can buy, whatever. It was just not fulfilling anymore. And then the decision was kind of made for me because I was starting to be self-employed in 2014, but I still had a contract as a freelancer for the radio station I was working for back then. but I didn't like working there anymore. And then I think it was in fall 2016 where the head of the production department took me to the side and said, "Hey, listen, bad news. We will not renew your contract at the end of this year." So December 2016, that was. At first, it was a big shock for me. Because working as a freelancer for that radio station, like, guaranteed everything for my basic living back then, like rent, food, whatever, you name it. So it was a huge part of my income. But then after the first shock was being digested, that might have been the best thing that could ever happen to me. Because I myself didn't dare to make that step, but then whatever, someone.
Yeah, now here it is. Now you have to, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then like in 2017, my year or my life, let's say at the end of 2016, at the beginning of 2017, my life like shifted drastically because I wasn't into meditation or all that kind of stuff. But then after I got the message that the contract is not going to be renewed. I had like struggle for 2 or 3 months, 4 months, maybe I would say half a year, like anxiety attacks, panic attacks, depression, you name it, all that good stuff. And then I kind of like I was listening and reading everything I found, which might be beneficial for my current situation back then. So meditation, breath work, you name it. And that's as you just mentioned in the introduction, I'm just not the type of guy who just reads one book and say, okay, that's it. Then I wanna find out more. Does it really work? What is the science behind it? What is the proof and everything? How does it work? And how can I make it more efficient? Maybe whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, so then 2017, like everything switched and shifted like 180 degrees almost. Because then I had like the most relaxed life I ever had. I had the most money I ever had in my life with working like only a fraction of what I used to work.
Right.
And then I started working together with a now friend of mine, was just like a contact on some social media business platform. And he has his own publishing company and has a lot of audiobooks with mindfulness, meditation, stress reduction, self-hypnosis and everything like that. And yeah, I just texted him. And then he answered. That was a big disappointment because he just said, yeah, it's always good to have nice contacts. Let's keep in touch, which just means F you in translated, you know?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And then I wasn't happy with that, of course. And I think 2 weeks later, after initially texted him, I looked at my message I sent in the first place and I just read what I texted there. And it wasn't in there. But the feeling is, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, and I want.
Mm.
And I just texted again, but this time I wrote to him what I can offer him. And then we had a phone call the next day, and then since then we basically worked together since 2018 right now.
Yeah,
And
he's turned the perspective,
yes,
the point of view around, and it changed the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So since then, I'm also like in the field of meditation, self-improvement, audiobooks, whatever. Got the most amazing opportunity to be the German voice of Dr. Joe Dispenza of his audiobooks in Germany. Bruce Lipton.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love Joe Dispenza.
Yeah. So all that would never have happened if it wouldn't be for losing my job, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Stephan when you told me that, oh, I'm just doing voiceover for Dispenza. Like, oh my God, what a land, what a great gig to get there.
Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
also a funny thing to mention, just real quick, because back then in 2016, 2017, when I was not feeling well, I discovered like the audiobook of Joe Dispenza. And there was one, I think it was You Are the Placebo, which was not available in German back then. It was only in English.
Yeah.
And I was kind of disappointed because I really wanted to listen to it. And of course, I speak English pretty okay, but with such a complex topic, it's more easy to listen to it in your mother tongue,
Of course.
Exactly.
which you
Yeah.
grew up on.
Yeah.
So I was kind of disappointed and listened to it anyway in English. And then I think it was 2018, 19, when I got offered to be the German voice for You Are the Placebo audiobook. So
You got some great talent
Yeah.
investing there, brother.
Yeah.
I was thinking back and thought to myself, oh, that's why it wasn't available in German, because I am the one who's doing it right now.
Yeah. So you're the perfect example of how you you took that stress and anxiety of losing that position or
Yeah.
not renewing that contract and knew that you had to do something to fix it.
Yes, exactly.
And you dove into the meditation and you connected with your higher power through that, and your whole life turned around.
Yeah, maybe back then I wouldn't describe it as connecting to my higher power. I was just
Okay.
doing very, very, very. I mean, in the end, it's something like that. But I think more precise is just I really worked hard on certain things, like things from my childhood, like conditions or beliefs which everyone has more or less all their life without even knowing. Or I did some real work on my fears and the things I didn't dare doing. So it was not because when it's just like did some meditation and believed in my higher power, it was way more work than that. I think
Yes. Yeah.
I discovered like inner child work was also like very, very shortly after the contract hasn't been renewed. I think it was in the mid of October 2018. Got the the tip from my hairdresser when I went there. And I worked with that audiobook, let's say, at least for 4 months, very intensely. I think I listened to the whole audiobook like 80 times, 90 times at
Wow.
least. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, like every time when I listen, just an example, there's one part in the audiobook where it's about things you do as a child to avoid being in touch with this negative emotion situations relationship. Let's say people develop like the helper syndrome, like people who always want to help and support others, but only for their own benefit. Because when people
Yeah.
just do enough for others, the other people will not leave. So like when I do enough for my parents cannot leave me. They have to love me or whatever.
Right.
And working with the audiobook, I think it took me like 7 or 8 times to listen to that audiobook without even making a connection that I have a part of that in myself. First time listening to
Yeah.
it like 6, 7, 8 times, I didn't even think about the
Yeah.
possibility that I have this behavior.
Yeah. So there was some resistance at first
No,
listening to it? No?
I just wasn't aware.
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
wasn't aware. And then remember I was walking in a park in Munich back then, nice day, have my audio book on. That chapter starts with the helper syndrome. And I
Yeah.
remember I was slowing down my steps, standing still, listen to that, and I just, oh, shit, yeah, of course you have that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think
So,
I think a lot of us do, and
yeah,
we're not aware of it.
yeah.
And that's when we start feeling the stress,
Yeah, but when you're not aware, you don't know why, and
Yeah,
then
that's
sometimes
true.
what happens a lot is that you don't make the connection to yourself, or and you just search on the outside for, because you feel like there's something wrong, something is not right, and then of course on the outside there are many things which might have caused the erection in oneself. So probably you will find something, but maybe that's not the cause why one feels that way, you know?
Yeah.
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 Going into the childhood stuff and all of these, like you mentioned, we all have our own conditioned beliefs, our own ideas of what God might be or may not be. You know, as I've traveled around the world, just seeing all of the different culture out there. But there is that part of us, through whatever had happened from growing up, whether it be mother or father, you know, there's still stuff in me, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, sure.
And is now when you're mentioning this, you're describing, what was the name of that again? The Helper syndrome?
In Germany, it's called
Helper.
I literally
Helper.
translated it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Literally,
yeah.
I don't know if it's called in English like that. In Germany, it would be called Helfer syndrome. So I just literally translated that. I don't know if it's even a thing in the English language.
No, there is, because there's also the savior complex. They have that kind of thing. But just that alone, and then when you add in your elements from growing up, then you can throw some Freud in there, some Carl Jung, and all these things.
Yeah.
I find that they all begin to come back to that root cause, and that is tough to find out because we have our blind spots.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
something I've wondered with in my life so often is, well, what is it I'm not understanding here, you know, as we move forward in life. So I'm glad to see that you've, I don't know, everything I've talked with you about in the past and even right now, it's like you have this special ability to navigate changes and things that pop up. You know, you're a German man, and if you want to get into what transpired during the pandemic, and now you're in the UK, you can speak English amazing, you land a job with Joe Dispenza, you got yourself a travel van. I mean, you live in such an amazing life.
Yeah, but as I mentioned, it was work to get there. Did not happen by coincidence. One other thing, because I always like to get like very on the point of things, not like describing stuff. Because one another example. When I was working as a when I started working as a voiceover, I had huge fears and problems with doing live recordings.
Oh, yeah.
So it was okay when I was with my colleagues, which I knew for a very, very long time. But let's say a client called me and said, "Hey, we have this commercial for you. We want your voice. Can we do a live recording?" There have been so many situations where I turned down the job when I wasn't able to record on my own. I said, "Yeah, I can do that, but I will just record it on my own." I thought about reasons. I was invented like excuses and everything just to avoid this live recording situation. And then when I was self-employed, I thought to myself, okay, that's BS, because I'm a professional voiceover. I have to be capable of doing a live recording. That's just crazy. And then I started pushing myself like exactly into those situations. I was looking at my fears, and then I thought maybe I'm doing something wrong, and then I have to do another take or maybe 3 takes or whatever. And I remember there was one special situation which kind of cured me in one day. I had a job in a studio in Munich, so I had to go there. There was a private bank was the client, like a private bank in Munich. Then there was the agency, the guys which worked in the studio. So like I think there have been like 15 people in that room just listening to my voice recording. And they sent me like the script one day earlier, and I was doing nothing else all evening, just reading the script. So I could just say it by heart because I knew every word in there. And
That's
then when
professional, baby.
yeah, because then I said, okay, if I'm afraid to make mistakes, then I have to be prepared. So I just go through the script over and over again. And the next day, I arrived there, and one of the workers at the studio just said, "Hey, nice to meet you. Yeah, just we just got over the script again. Everything is new." So
There we go.
everything,
Okay,
everything.
I was prepared.
Yeah, everything I've practiced was gone in that moment. So I got the scripts, and then I went into the recording booth, and then we started, and then I did my first take, did a couple of mispronunciations and everything, and then the second time was just basically flawless. I did not make one single mistake, and then there was the next script. There was like three things we recorded altogether. And then there was like one thing which was a weird mix of English and German, and was hard to get through it with the pronunciation, switching back and forth. And then I said, I think it took me like 3 or 4 attempts. And I said, yeah, I'm really sorry because this is so hard to pronounce. And then one of the guys from the client side said, oh, no worries, no worries. It's just I'm so fascinated by what you're doing. I couldn't even imagining doing what you do.
Yeah.
And then it just made click. I said, yeah, okay, that's just my perspective because whatever, it's my subjective perspective that whatever, but this guy has never seen a microphone in his life. He couldn't do it at all. And I walked out there, earned like, I think 3 times the amount I was working for back at the radio station for one day of working, like 8 hours. Just earned that in like 1 hour without any problem. So I was alive, nothing happened. And then I realized, okay, there's nothing to be afraid about. And years of avoidance, of avoiding live recording, like just gone in a couple of minutes, you know.
Let's clear that fear and free the dream, baby.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I love that mantra.
I wanted to talk about this real quick, if you don't mind. The more of for sound recording when you're going through some of the lines, even when you rehearse them and you've said it 100 times perfect. That happened with me. There was just a few parts in the book, depending on what words and how they're paired together.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think and you speak it like you normally would, but then we went back and I was listening to it. You said, here, give a listen, give a double check. And there were so many times that I would realize I couldn't say that word. And then that was that one time, sure, it happened with you more than with me, but that time it was that one sentence, and it was because of a couple words, and I tried, and I like total focus, and I kept saying it wrong, and it became funny, and we started cracking up. Yeah. And then it was like as soon as we laughed about it, then I just said it, and it was done. And it was just the funny ways are how it sounds in the mouth with our lips and teeth and the spit and those things you don't think about when you're just speaking out into the world, but when you're recording, how precise it picks up every little thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's also a matter of the mind, I would say. Because we all can talk like without any problems. But if I would do the same thing I would say right now in front of the microphone, I'm very aware that I'm recording right now. So
exactly,
my awareness is on the mouth, on what I hear, and then I don't know. It's just like the one thing is being in the flow and just doing it, and the other thing is just like whatever happens there, which then just blocks words, sentences, whatever. I remember I had to do a recording in English, and I think it was the Earth's crust was in there, and it took me for a German. That's the worst thing. Like the movie, the Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense.
Yeah. But the Earth's crust is just like so unused for the German tongue, and I think it took me 20 minutes to get a decent recording and usable recording from that one.
Yeah. Like you say, the people that speak English. When I first got to Switzerland, I remember my wife's father was laughing at me because, you know, I was doing my best, but he said, it sounds like you have a rag stuffed in your mouth because I'm not used to all of the Sprachen, you know, that part of my throat I'm not used to using. So
Yeah, sure.
for English speakers, when you flip that around, and if you're a native German speaker and then you got to start talking English, there's those different things with communications and vowels and
Yeah.
vocabulary and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah, but that's also part of the training. Then when you have something which just won't come out of your mouth, there might be also a reason because your muscles are just not used to making that sound with your mouth, and then it's just a matter of practice over and over again till whatever the muscles, nerves, whatever is responsible for getting that sound out is trained, and then it's fine. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious,
Yeah.
with AI
Oh,
um,
yeah.
coming in, have you embraced it? Is it affecting what you do in any way?
It is, yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. I mean, I think on the English market more than on the German market right now, because I think AI is better in English than it is in German. But that will be only a matter of time. Because I think I've listened to a couple of formats on YouTube or wherever. I think it was also one thing on Spotify. I think that was last year or something, where you had like a summary of your favorite songs, music you listen to, and that was completely AI generated. And it's when you click that, it wasn't available on my Spotify because it's German, but on my wife's Spotify account, which is running in English, it was available. It was like a 2 minute piece, 2.5 minutes piece with a summary of her last year on Spotify.
Wow.
And you could barely make out that it's AI voice. It sounded like the two typical American radio hosts, woman and man voice, um, and also like what was the content also was generated by AI. So of course it will affect and does affect like my job, but I've experienced both. I mean, I lost some jobs to AI already. Like some clients say, "Hey, we want to use AI now." Okay. At the same time, I got some jobs from clients who tried to use AI and have not been satisfied, and then said, "Hey, we want to have a real voice instead." So,
Yeah.
and I think at least for the next upcoming years, it will be exactly that. I mean, you will have people who go to McDonald's, and you will have people who go to a nice burger place. You know,
That's a good analogy. I
that's
like that. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, we see it affecting with me being a writer. We need to, we've been trained as the same as AI. I mean, I grew up on the
yeah,
classics. AI has been trained on the classics.
yeah. But on the other hand, I mean,
We're
maybe
kind of
maybe
scared to move forward and that will be marked as being AI generated.
I think right now, mm, I mean, I use AI from time to time to make things easier or more convenient, but I try to use it more as an assistant. You know, I don't have to be stressed, so that's what I use it for.
Yeah,
Um,
as an assistant,
yeah,
it comes
exactly.
in handy.
Yeah,
I do use it in my day job, which may brings an ease to things.
One thing I'll say to that is when it comes to creative writing and different social media platforms, Substack, there's definitely, I don't know, I feel like I can pick up when it's generated, even if someone
yeah,
isn't saying it is. There's just certain analogies and metaphors and certain sentence structures that I'll be reading through and then I'll go, oh, I've heard that before. It's
yeah,
similar to something else. It's maybe a different topic, but this is kind of somewhat put together the same. And I don't care one way or the other. I don't do that. I'm not the best writer in the world, but I know it's human coming out, and I do my best at it. So I can kind of pick out when this is something from a human or if it's been improvised or added to. There's always the sentence, you can go out into the woods because it's beautiful, and not that it's, and as soon as I see that, and not that it's, oh, okay, this is that same old comparison and analogical AI format here.
Yeah. I think especially in those creative fields, there will always be room for human creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, we feel. We know I was just taking this morning, I was journaling, I was looking out at the water, it was really calm, and I took a couple notes, and there's a lot of other stuff going on in my world, but I decided to write those couple sentences that ended up becoming a paragraph. None of it describes what's going on outside of that, but I found the beauty that as a human, okay, well, I'm observing this right now, and I know what it smells like. It's not necessarily in the words, but some of those were the things that inspired me to write down, what I was observing in the water, because I could smell something and I could hear some water dropping, and it was all these senses of me being alive, and then I was inspired to just take a couple notes of the moment.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
and here's something that Stephan, I still got it.
Oh,
the
nice.
colloidal gold water. He's a master.
Nice.
I don't know how much time we're going and stuff, but he does go deep into things. And man, he's got like a water chemistry station in his house.
Wow. That's awesome. Colloidal silver. You said gold, though?
That's
Yep.
gold, yeah.
Oh, wow. I've heard of colloidal silver.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what metal
Yeah.
you have. I think as long as it's pure, you can make everything into a colloidal substance.
And what does that mean exactly? Because see, he'll let us know now. Here comes
I think it's basically a colloidal substance is basically the size of the particle. So it's like in nanometer, I would say, is the size area which are the colloidal molecules or substances or whatever. Yeah, and that's also like a special process I found out.
being in Glastonbury. There's obviously an array and a variety of characters that do come through that area.
Yeah.
And many people were big on structured water and all that kind of stuff. And I never really thought much about it. And then meeting you, and we're making audio books, and next thing you know, we're getting into water. And it was just like, wow, how beautiful is all this?
Yeah, but that's also like why I like to dive deeper and spend time on things, because there are so many offers out there and claims and products and whatever. And it's just like,
Yeah, what was
So is
that?
that something you do for yourself?
just
Yeah.
for myself and for the people interested around me. But I always I try everything out, and then if it's possible somehow, I want to make my own experience and experiments as well. Because let's just also one example. There is like a product called Analemma Water Wand. It's like a little Analemma Water Wand. Yeah. And they claim all kinds of stuff. But then I got it because I was interested in saying, okay, let's find out. And I did a little experiment by myself. Bought some basil seeds in the store and had like 2 pots, and the one was watered with the treated water and the other one was just the same water but without treatment. And then a couple of months later, I had my results. So like, and I could see for myself, okay, the plants which has been watered with the treated water is just bigger, healthier, and yeah, that's the way I approach things is just like I don't believe anything. I just wanna find it out for
Got it.
myself, and if it's possible
Yeah.
to yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I need
Critical
to do more
thinking.
of that. Yeah. Critical thinking.
Get
Exactly.
the information and
Yeah.
be able to understand the information that you're being given.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, and then yeah, just also with the as we just mentioned it, the the technique to make that colloidal gold, silver, or whatever. That's just like a thing. So I learned that back in 2021 from a guy, and then I had like 2 or 3 very interesting months because I experienced stuff which I couldn't explain, you know. So I learned everything. We built the device to make the colloidal gold and everything. There's like also a process in advance to how to treat the water. There's also like a huge part with the
Hmm.
hydrogen to make the charge in the water like in a negative, so-called negative way. And then yeah, as I was having the workshop, I was getting back home, setting all my stuff up, and then wanted to try to make my own colloidal silver, I guess, or gold, or whatever I had in mind first. And it just didn't work at all. It was just like an unusable gray, flaky water. And usually, when you have, at least with my technique, I learned the colloidal gold turns into like a purple, violet kind of color tint,
Hmm.
and the silver is like a very deep yellow,
Yeah.
like apple juice almost. And the result was just like was just like gray, flaky, unusable stuff. And then it was like 2 or 3 months where I just barely did anything else than just experimenting, researching, and trying stuff out. And then I came to realize that indeed one of the most important factors is the one who makes the gold. So it was very hard to accept that for me, but in the end there's not much other possibilities. Um, when I'm not in a good mood, the result is catastrophic. And the better I feel, the better the result is. Or another factor which influences the production of the colloidal fluids is the phase of the moon.
Mm.
So I had like my notebook, and I had like scribbled like at least one page noting which percentage the moon is and how the result of the colloidal substance is. And it's
Wow.
better when the moon is over 50% and rising. And then there was like 2 weeks where I couldn't do anything at all because everything I'd done was just unusable. And then I found out later that there has been some kind of eclipse, sun eclipse somewhere.
Mm.
And the saying was that it's one of the strongest eclipse, whatever. And yeah, so I couldn't do anything 1 week before that eclipse and 1 week after that eclipse. And everything is just the same. The water quality is the same. It's the same filter. It's the same technique. It's the same. Everything is the same. Just
Wow.
there are factors which influence that, and it's nice
Yeah.
to find that out by myself and see. Okay, this is real. This is not just like in a book where say, yeah, this has some influence, or maybe it has some influence. No, it has some influence because I just have the expertise from 5 years now making this stuff. You know.
Yeah.
And that's that
That's
thing.
amazing. You never really would think that the moon cycle would affect water
Yeah, but it.
that way, but I imagine it does. I
I
mean,
mean,
even
the most amazing story is like not even that. It's just like if we still have time because I think that's
oh
really
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So the most crucial thing with this product or with this substance is to get it into a stable state. Like when I first was doing the workshop, as we learned how to make it, when let's say we have made just some colloidal gold, and when you would put a mobile phone next to it, like let's say 30 centimeters, a meter or something, and you went out the room for 20 minutes, or just the mobile was sitting there in close proximity of the jar we just made the colloidal gold in, it took like 20 minutes and it was unusable. So it turned, the color was just like clear again, and then all like black flakes and dust in it, so everything was not usable anymore. And 2 weeks after I attended the seminar or the workshop for producing the gold, I was in Switzerland, and there's one guy who also makes like art out of glass, and he has thought about a technique of informing that glass while he's making it. So putting like burning data on a CD. And I thought, okay, let's try something out. And I said, okay, maybe we can make something like a little glass device, which I can put in the water, and that has the information that the colloidal gold is then stable and may not be influenced by electromagnetic frequencies.
There we go, EMF. I was going to get to that.
Yeah. So we did that, and then I went home and used this little glass thing we made, and had good results. And then I just did some tests. I had like one little bottle with the colloidal gold, which has not been informed by that glass thing, and the other one has. So, and then after 4 weeks, I had a look at both, and the one who was not informed was just clear and black dust was on the bottom of the glass, and the other one was just like perfect, just like I made it yesterday.
Yeah.
And then I think a couple of days later, I said, okay, it's just like I want to speed things up a bit. So I took one little, just the glass bottle Jake just showed, and put it on my desk and right like 10 centimeters over the Wi-Fi router. And then after 2 weeks, just looked like it was just made yesterday.
Wow.
And
that was in the flask that was created, correct?
just
The
in the water.
informed?
That it's just a beaker, and I put this little glass thing in there, and there I make my colloid, and then it's stable.
Yeah.
And I still cannot explain how that works. I just can say that it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want one of those glass stirrers.
No, you wouldn't.
Maybe.
You wouldn't because you wouldn't. That's also funny. There is one device. I think it's called the BioWell measurement device, or a company called BioWell. They make like machines who you can. I think you can measure the aura or test water and whatever, like the energy of that. And I sent like one of these glass rods to this guy in Switzerland as well. He made some tests, and he showed me the results. And it was confusing at first because the water quality is miserable after that. So the water is chaotic. It's not structured. There's no energy in it. So it's like dead, unusable water. And then I think it was years later, I watched another video on YouTube. It was about crystals and crystal healing. And this guy said one sentence, and then it made click in my head. It totally made sense, because I assumed when I put this little glass rod in the water, it raises the quality and makes it more stable and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't make any sense. It's the other way around. So the more chaos I have, the less energy I have in this water, gives me the opportunity to then structure it while I make the colloidal substance. So I put in energy in, I put order in the chaos, and the more chaotic and the less energy the water has, the more room it has to take the new things in it
Right.
while I'm doing it.
Okay.
And all
See,
this
he
is
gets deep, baby.
so
Yeah.
fascinating, and seeing that with your own eyes, it's just like questioning what I think I knew a lot of
Yeah.
times, as I mentioned. Yeah,
The alchemist.
yeah,
You're an
exactly.
alchemist. Yeah.
I wouldn't describe myself as that, but yeah, part
I
of me
would.
is part of me is at least, yeah.
Yeah.
What's also very interesting is we didn't intend to give those qualities into this glass thing we produced. So it was not our intention to say, okay, let's produce a chaotic, energy deficient water. We just when we did that, we just had a clear picture and the vision of a stable colloidal substance in
Mm.
our head, and somehow something in the glass in the water seems to know what it has to do to achieve that outcome we gave in while we were making that thing.
Wow.
So and there's a lot of informations and solutions and whatever about EMF and all that kinds of stuff. But just one thing, when we have been able to inform a piece of glass to achieve an outcome we desire without knowing what it how it can be done, on a molecular basis we consist of 99% water molecules. So I can just encourage everyone to not step into deep into the fears about electromagnetic frequency manipulation and buying products which might be a solution for that, because we just influenced with a clear picture of a colloidal stable substance the outcome that the colloidal substance is then stable. With burning that into the glass, it makes it easier because the information is now in the glass. So I don't have to hold that condition while I'm producing the colloidal substance. But just mentioning that, there, it, I wouldn't say it's proof, but I think there's a huge possibility or chance that we have an influence even on the electromagnetic spectrum which is around us when we are clear with the outcome we want to have.
Mm. Intentions.
So the
Yeah.
to make it clear, the best protection from my point of view is just not care about and just have the intention what I want to have in my life without any stickers and devices and whatever the claim is they do.
Yeah.
I think it's not that necessary.
No, it's not.
That's
Kind of,
fascinating.
yeah, it
It's
is.
I mean, it's going like this. It's going like this, but I'm picking up parts of it because I have some introduction into water and structure and electrons. But man, Stefan, that's amazing.
One. I wanna. If someone is interested what water is capable of, please have a look at the work of Veda Austin. She's from
I
New
have her
Zealand.
book. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I have her book. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, The Memory of Water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've learned her technique. Bought the workshop online from her website,
Oh, wow.
and have a couple of. It's pretty easy. You just have to have a petri dish. You can get that on Amazon for a
Hmm.
couple of bucks, and then you have just freeze water and look at it,
Hmm.
and everyone
Yeah.
can do that. And it's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
the results are just mind blowing from time to time. Yeah,
They really are.
yeah.
And I know somebody who took water and froze it from the hurricanes
Mm,
a couple years ago that
mm.
came through Florida and took water from that and froze it. And you could see um, faces of devastation
Ah, okay.
in those images. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yep.
So, Stefan, Jake mentioned that you do meditations. Do you have those available for people, or where can people find out more about that?
Uh, I, I mean, it's for the German audience specifically. So
Okay.
if someone wants to listen to the meditations in German, they can find me on Amazon and Audible and wherever. Just type in
Yeah.
Stephan Müller, and I think there's whatever over 100 products right now. Over 100, like it's not always the big audiobooks. Something is just like one meditation, one self hypnosis or whatever. But yeah, basically just type in Stephan Müller on Amazon Audible, and then
Okay.
there will be something.
Okay. Awesome. And Jake, do you have any more questions for Stefan?
We've covered some things here. It would go hours and hours.
Well, we'll definitely have him back.
Yeah,
Sure.
I would love
Yeah.
that. I'd love to do
Yeah, sure.
that because we haven't even gotten into the traveling side of Stefan.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no,
Boy,
no.
that fits into many things I'm accompanied with, but
Yes.
I really, really, I knew that this conversation would take a life of its own, and I'm so glad it turned
Hmm.
into water like that, and that he can
Yeah.
display all the knowledge he has in so many different things on top of being a sound producer and a sound voiceover for Joe Dispenza and all of the success he's had doing voice work and being an artist, because that's truly what that is. And when you
Yeah.
work with sound waves and introducing elements. Like he said, he came up with what does a water slide sound like? You don't just go look up on a database and find water slide. So to be able to get creative with sound and create an atmosphere, to create an adventure and a journey, and it was just such a pleasure to work with him. And now listeners get to hear just a glimpse into his experience with working with sound.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a perfect example with exactly producing your audiobook, because it was like, okay, now he has having a dream in his story, and of course you can just record the voice because it's clear, because you
Hmm.
mentioned it, that you have a dream right now. But when you listen to it and have the feeling you are in that dream with you, that's what I wanted to achieve. So you get a good impression by maybe getting Jake's audiobook, Feather in Time.
I did. I've listened to it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It
you've got to
really,
hear the
like I
work
said,
he's done.
it really brings you in on the journey with
yeah,
him.
nice.
Yeah.
And
It's the best audiobook I've listened to,
oh, thank you.
honestly. So,
But
yeah.
credits to Jake, of course, because without
Yeah.
Well,
him,
credits to us. It was a team
yeah,
effort.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
So,
remember that. I'll just quickly say, I remember, I was in Glastonbury at the time, and I think we were, 4 or 5 days in. We were recording about a chapter a day, and I realized, there's a dream, but also chapter one is a drum song. And I remember I was sitting there one evening, and all of a sudden, and this was after a few days of starting to use my voice and having the headphones on and hearing myself. And every day I just felt liberated after doing that. And he understood what that was. So here I'm with someone who does understand that feeling of being in the flow and having that kind of bliss. And it took a few days, and then I'm just sitting there one evening, and I'm like, drum song, sound, oh my God. And I looked down and I saw a drum, and I just messaged him. I said, hey, Stefan, I'm going to talk to you about something tomorrow. Now, little did I know at that very time, when he received the message, he was already thinking, just bring the drum. But I didn't know that. He like intuitively, telepathically picked up. The next day I said, oh my God, let's do this. And he said, yeah. So then that opened the gates, and now all these other enhancements. And it was by him to just take his second nature, his muscle memory, the way he sits in his studio. He's got his legs up, and he's tuck, 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 and he's creating this magic. And it gave me tears. I cried on a number of times. So his production quality and experience really is second to none.
yeah. Well, I'll
thank
have
you.
to fly to Glastonbury when I get my book finished.
Yeah, sure.
See what you
Why
can do
not?
with this voice.
Why not? Why not?
No, but any writers out there, self-published authors, get in touch with Stephan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So, do you have any advice if someone were to tell you they don't know what their calling is, what their purpose in life is? What would you tell them?
That's I think that's one of the most crucial questions one can ask. Um, I would say reduce the things or get rid of things that are not fulfilling because they take up a lot of space and energy resources, and you cannot. You can, of course, but I think makes it more difficult to find something if you are distracted constantly.
Hmm.
Just like when a needle is being poked in your arm constantly, it hurts.
Yeah.
And to feel pleasure while the needle is, maybe some people do even with pain, but that's a different topic. But it's difficult to feel like joy when you feel pain. So get rid of the stuff that's just bothering you, and then you have more resources to find what you actually want from a different point of view and perspective then, and just
Oh,
go for it. That's also like the most common thing when you have something which might be in that area, because sometimes you have to try things out. It may sound great in your dream or in your vision or in your fantasy, but it's just like some things are just great in theory. I always have the example like having sex on the beach. It may sound very, very good in your fantasy, but the sand goes everywhere. And I think it's just a matter of trying stuff out. And when you have something which might be a thing which you're interested in, just go for it, try it out, and keep it going, and then you find out if it really fulfills you or not.
I love
Simplifying.
that. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. That's how you
Wonderful,
alchemized
beautiful answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
100%.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure meeting you and speaking with you today, and I would love to have you back on to go a little bit
Sure,
deeper.
anytime.
Yeah.
It's been
And
a pleasure for me as well, and thanks to Jake for suggesting me, and thanks to
yeah,
the both of you for having me. Yeah,
yeah. Great blessings. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thanks, brother. It's been great to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes, it indeed has. I mean, it was just like a weird moment because it's just like so familiar, but on the other hand, we haven't seen each other for almost over half a year, I would say now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, stick around after if you want. We can chat a little bit, couple minutes or whatever. Or I
Yeah,
don't know if
sure.
you got stuff to do, but yeah, we'll round out our episode here because
Yeah.
Shara is the captain when it comes to opening and closing. I'm the guy that got the easy job. I just get to sit and talk in the middle.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, you guys want to chit chat some more? I'll let you do that. I have dog food to make. Um, so but we will get this closed up. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and watching this episode. We'd like you to like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment. The more you share, the more you like, the more people we can reach with this message. And don't forget to join us over on Substack for the publication side. Live your love. And we'll say goodbye. I'm Shara.
And this is Jake in Lugano, Switzerland for this episode. We'll see where I'll be the next time we record.
And we're here to encourage you to go where your heart leads and live your love.